Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a gameplay analysis video to do. This is going to be from the Futchamps highlights of the 20-0 that we ended up getting. People in the comments section were asking for kind of like a breakdown video of a thought process of me attacking in that game, right? Or in those games. And I kind of figured that we would do that today because I still have the video format of that Futchamps highlights video. So it'll be good to be able to kind of like break down how I ended up scoring each goal, or just the thought process of what I wanted to do in each moment. So guys, this 4-2-3-1, you guys have seen the custom tactics video. You've seen what I've told you guys on many occasions. The types of players that you have in your team is going to be really important in regards to in-game performance for attacking AI and defensive AI. Okay, so the main thing that I always mention to people, right, when it came to the 4-2-3-1 from Boris Legend, is that in my opinion, right, your cam needs to have that proper cam attacking AI, right? Bernardo Silva, for me, is one of those guys. I think he's absolutely fantastic AI-wise in that position. Yes, he's lackluster in other areas. That's why I obviously want him to get a promo card soon so that I can play him there. Please don't do like a position change thing or a work rate thing. Like, base mechanics just upgraded, okay? That's the type of card I need for him. But using a card like him in the cam position, using a left-footed card in the left attacking mid position, and then a right-footed card in the right attacking mid position is super ideal. All three of these cards are cards capable of playing in those original positions with the high work rates, okay? The striker, you can use two different types of strikers, right? So you can either go with explosive or lengthy, right? That's going to be the main things that you want to work with when using the strikers in your team. So in my case, since we ended up packing Dembele from the rewards, if you guys haven't seen that video, you guys should watch it. It's like near the end of the 20-0 video. Yeah, we're gonna sell him, maybe pick up Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll see what the vibes are for me to do all of that. The instructions, you know, for this formation, you guys can check out in the best meta 4-2-3-1 custom tactics. I only changed one thing from that video, okay? Palinga, instead of, you know, being unbalanced like this, I keep him on stay back while attacking because he's a defensive rock, but he's not as good pushing forward in the attack, right? So it actually causes a really good balance in the team in regards to attacking and defending, because one thing that I've noticed with the 4-2-3-1 formation in general is that when you tell your left attacking mid and your right attacking mid to get into the box with their cross, but you don't give them comeback in defense, for some reason, a lot of the times it actually works out really nicely. And now you guys will see it from this new 4-2-2 that we're also going to be doing review as well, where we don't tell the lamb or the ram to come back, and we just tell them to get into the box with a cross, and it just helps with their attacking AI a lot to score certain opportunities. But it's very key that you have good attacking AI in that middle position, because in the past, I've used players like Kingsley Coman. I've used a card like Diaby, right? So Diaby on the left side, Coman on the right side. And that worked out perfectly fine too, because those two cards are actually pretty nice. But the preference of having high work rates for that push forward comeback is really important, because you don't tell them to push back, but you'll notice them pushing back on many occasions. If my fullback overcommits, you'll see Foden kind of going back. If I'm, you know, just defending in general, you'll see Diogo Jota often going back too. So for me, when their base mechanic makes them do that, it just causes such a good balance. If I tell them to come back completely, the balance I feel like would be a little bit off, right? For the cam guys, there's actually moments in game, right, where it's actually better to not put him on stay forward, because he plays to that high work rate, right? So it's that push forward come back that's like a really good balance of attacking and defending that sometimes is very helpful. But I do like the stay forward to kind of work with the attack a little bit quicker, because Foden and Diogo Jota are actually usually really well positioned, right? So I would not be against anybody taking it off and just keeping it on basic as well, right? Because it would actually work out really well for this card. But stay forward seems to be really nice because it's a very good balance of constantly being congested in the middle, right? So definitely very nice to work with there. But there were moments where I did go in game, switch that to basic, and it worked out really well for me, right? So that is something that you could definitely change on the team. The left back, again, he's on balance instructions, and then the fullback on the right side is on stay back while attacking. So it's actually nice to have that little bit of extra attack with Mario Rui, and you guys will be able to see in some of the attacking plays how nice it actually is. So yeah, if you guys want to see the full tactic, be sure to check out the 4-2-3-1 meta video from Boris Legend that we ended up reviewing. It's the best meta 4-2-3-1, like I said earlier, right? So yeah, let's get into the goals that we ended up scoring, and I'll kind of run through my thought process, because a lot of it is not like what I actually want to do, because in FIFA you have to do a lot of compensation, right? So yeah, let's get to it. Okay guys, so we'll just do it like this, and we'll just let each goal play out, and then just kind of like talk about the thought process afterwards, right? So just gonna go ahead and mute the music for this, right? And that way we can actually kind of just like go through each goals, right? So let's see the first one here. A couple of dribbles here and there, extra dribbles. Yeah, so this one was like when I first got into the game, right? And I was a little bit rusty, I'm not gonna lie, because the first games are always gonna be rusty, right? But this is just using the croqueta, right? This is always nice to have the controller in the top right area of the screen so that you guys can see what it is. It's basically just you using L1 right stick downwards or upwards, depending on where you wanna begin the skill move and then exit to be able to score this opportunity. This is very effective to use in this game, especially when you press an L1 before using it, because the defender sometimes commits a certain way where it kind of allows you to score the opportunity. Over here, you just want to do some extra dribbles to kind of like work the space a little bit, right? So you can see that technically I could have made like a through ball pass because the attacking AI is working out great here to the top part, but obviously in the game movements, it made sense for me to kind of like do the skill moves to kind of open up, because if I made that pass, maybe Kimpembe would have gotten it for the shot across goal. So yeah. Okay, so we're building up the play here at the fullback, opening up the space in the side position, driven pass, ball roll, switch to the right foot, good little finish there. So with this one here, there's a couple of things that you notice when you're actually attacking, right? So you always have to look out for who the person overcommits and which area of the pitch you're going to exploit, especially if your attacking AI works a certain way. That's why I tell you guys the types of players you have on your team is very important. So we have the ball here with Manafa. You can see that he's already controlling his fullback here, right? So at this point, you kind of just want to dribble with the ball a little bit and kind of open up the space. So you push it downwards and he's already in an open position. Now over here, this is a mechanic in FIFA that has been a thing for so long, right? It's the ball roll pass, right? So the ball roll before the driven pass creates a little bit more consistency. Now, because Phil Foden is over here on the right side, he goes in with the right foot, and we end up getting a pass that is not registered properly. So this is completely EA doing it for me, right? But obviously with him being right-footed, it kind of goes off a little bit weird. And you'll notice that we get the ball here with Bernardo Silva, first time drag. So that's just you using the left stick. And then in this situation, we do the ball roll, right, to see how he kind of thinks I'm going to commit into it. But once you do a ball roll, it kind of allows you to do any other skill move or any other dribble a little bit quicker, right? So in Bernardo Silva's case, because his dribbling is good, it kind of allows me to do a quick left stick touch and then just be able to shoot with his weak foot and score the opportunity. Build up here with Palinha. You can see the side position player is making the run. The reason why Foden is on the right side for now is because I was using João Mario. This is like the first 1 or 2 games, right? But then obviously no work properly. I had to switch right away because of the strong foot and the strong side. Yeah, so this is attacking AI right here as well, right? You could see that, when you make this pass, Phil Foden's making that run into the middle area. This guy is using a pressure tactic. So this is where it's important to try to have a person that, has the right attacking AI to move into the empty spaces properly. We get into a situation here, everything is still pressure tactic, right? It's still pressure tactic. The only thing that I can possibly do right now is, because nobody is personally marking me in the top area positions, I could technically go up here and then do that L1 fake shot to the right side and then see what I can work with afterwards. Or I make the pass off to here with Ronaldo Sanchez and see what my explosive accelerate players do afterwards, right? See, regardless of Palinha not being crazy on the attack, it's always nice to have the weak foot, man. Especially when the goalie is being pushed out of position, right? So, yeah. So a situation like this, you just work with who's open, right? You're going back, You get the ball off to Renato Sanchez. Again, explosive, proper attacking AI players. Look at what Phil Foden does after that pass. He goes upwards, right? We utilize that space upwards. We do a first time touch, ball roll touch, right? That's the L1 fake shot that I'll be doing a skill move tutorial for. We get the pass off. There's no option for me to make here that's going to be super great. Technically, I could have made this pass to Renato Sanchez, but I don't know what the animation from the goalie is going to be like, because sometimes they do like crazy dives, right? So in my case, when the goalie was being pushed, I didn't want to have to deal with a drag touch from Renato Sanchez to the bottom, and then maybe potentially having the defender push out against me to block out the opportunity. So we pass it back again to the opening guy, take a touch, left-footed strike to the right side, scores the opportunity. So build up here through the middle, a little bit of pressure tactics, fake shot to the bottom side. You can see the attacking AI from Renato Sanchez being activated there with his high work rates. Diogo Jota opening up a good goal scoring opportunity. So this one is another good example of the instructions being very obvious in game, right? So with Renato Sanchez being only on cover center, and he is the guy that could play on that high work rate, that push forward, come back. He's the one that's creating the space for me there. If I have him on stay back while attacking, I may not, because stay back while attacking doesn't mean they'll never go into that space, right? But I may not get that opportunity, right? So we get the ball here with Pedro Marquez, go for a first time pass, got to go for a fake shot, and we need to see who we're working with here, right? If I go down, there's no passing option. There's no passing option here. There's no passing option anywhere. But you can see that the fullback at the top over here is on the upwards area, not the downwards area from the attacking player there. And my striker is also going to be making a run that's going to push the defender further back. So we go back here in this situation because Renato Sanchez is going to be well positioned. He's going to have to deal with my striker making that run, right? So when we get the ball here with Renato Sanchez, we have so much to work with. This is the key thing here with having, you know, decent enough strikers that understand the pitch a little bit. So Pedro Marquez, when it comes to his dribbling in the game, that's where he's a problem, right? But the direct passing tactic is what's going to make the players do this. So he overcommits like crazy in the attack. He tracks back quickly, back in an onside position. We can go for a driven pass. We get the ball off here. And at this point, he's going to have to choose who he's going to defend against, the top guy or the bottom guy. But guess what? When he switches to this guy, his momentum is already going downwards, right? So when you're looking at the person's momentum already going downwards, that's when you make the pass upwards, because he's gonna have to stop that momentum moving right to turn left, right? So we get into the situation, we make the pass, touch the ball, shot across goal, we end up scoring. If he uses manual goalkeeping, it's a little bit trouble. I hate manual goalkeeping, by the way, but it is what it is. Get the ball here, Mario Rui. Renato Sanchez, Palinha. Yeah, so this is another good example of like proper attacking AI in those positions, right? So you get the space here. You don't want to commit this pass, because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go for a lob pass here. If you go for a lob pass here and you don't have lengthy players, the way that they're going to settle the touch against the defenders, putting pressure against them, it's not going to be great, right? So what you'll notice is that once that space opens up, because he overcommits the center back because he thinks I'm going to go downwards, right? I'm trying to wait. I'm waiting for my attacking AI to utilize the middle position that's open because of that overcommitment that he did with the center back, right? So you'll notice that I don't make the pass right away. Look, Bernardo Silva is well positioned, but I don't do it right away. I don't do it right away because why? If I make this pass to him, I still don't have the extra pass option to work with. So I need someone, right, who's not being marked like Pedro Marquez to make that run to that area for me to be able to have a more opening chance, right? So he makes that run. We get the touch off with him, and it creates that space for me to be able to pass off to Bernardo Silva to score that as well, right? So you always have to be very mindful of what, when you're building up the play, you're not only focused to who you're passing the ball to. You're looking at what's happening around that pass. It's very important to do, right? Palinha here, we make the pass off. Striker, or, you know, striker Ben Yedder going backwards. You always want to make a touch kind of facing away from the defenders, right? So in this case, you'll see I touch the ball downwards, right? No one's near that general area. So it allows me to kind of, again, create some opening space, because here's the thing. When you make this pass in this area, I could already see at this moment right here, Bernardo Silva is already making the run, and he's going to control this guy. So what could happen is, if he controls that defender and he starts marking Bernardo Silva and I go downwards, I have space to work with, right? So he takes a touch downwards. Bernardo Silva, well positioned. We go for a first time pass. Poor decision on my part, right? But I wanted to make that first time pass because of that great run that Bernardo Silva was making. Use the fullback here. Now this is a very good example of getting into an angle, right? When you do this on purpose, you angle it to the bottom right, so that way you can go for the ball roll driven for more consistency. He starts to commit into me. I take a small dribble backwards because listen, once people see you get into this position, what did I tell you guys with the momentum, right? His momentum is going to carry him to the right side. I have the extra pass option here, right, with Phil Foden. So I'm just going to use my left stick to go back. You can see with the controller just going back, right? Goalie starts to push up against me. We have an empty net, score the opportunity. So always focus on the momentum of the defender when they're pushing up against you as well, right? We work the space here in the side positions. Near post side angle. Ben Yedder is amazing. He's so incredible. Not really much here. This is an ISO play goal for the most part, right? Run, run, run. He slide tackles, which is a huge mistake because with direct passing tactic, he's already in the opening position. Touch the ball, quick left stick dribbling. We could just shoot it to the near post. I could have gone for the far post too. Probably still would have scored. But I want you guys to notice something, okay? For consistency. Always notice these things when you're attacking in this game, okay? Always watch how your attacking AI moves in the cam position. Very important, because look at this opportunity here, okay? I make this pass, small dribbles. Look at the extra pass I can make here still, if I really wanted to, right? But it doesn't make sense for me to do it because obviously I'm already well positioned to just take the strike. But Bernardo Silva, in that movement, is constantly opening himself in proper positions. Look at where he is. He's constantly doing this all the time, going up and down, right? Already well positioned there. Okay, so starting up the attack from the defense. First time pass. This one is a really good example too. This was like a pretty, it's like a stalemate game, right? This was a stalemate game. A very good example again of having that one CDM to commit on the attack to open up the space, right? So this is the good thing with direct passing when it comes to FIFA nowadays, is that it pushes up against the defenders, right? Renato Sanchez is in an open position, right? We make the pass off here, and we pass it downwards. He is overcommitting the center back there because he thinks I'm going to commit the pass right away to Renato Sanchez, or once I make that initial pass, he thinks I'm going to make a first time through ball in that area. Because look, you'll notice that with the explosive players, that's why I like them the most, right? When I make that first time pass, Ben Yedder is immediately explosive into the empty space. So if I take certain touches, I know that Ben Yedder will do that by default. This is why I like to use these cards the most. With Bernardo Silva, what I end up doing is I create space because he overcommits the center back, right? I could have done a first time through ball to Ben Yedder because that's something that you always have to look out for. That's why the explosive players are crazy. But I go for the extra skill move here because everything is in the moment thinking, obviously. Renato Sanchez makes a fantastic run, and we can do a first time driven pass, first time strike, and Renato Sanchez scores. So it's always about like doing the extra dribbles to kind of open up the space for some of the attackers. So first time pass here, a couple of small little dribbles. This is a huge ISO play as well, right? This is ISO play FIFA. So in this situation, if you're facing against people that are defensive, right, you always have to look for the extra touches and focus on the player's strong foot, or if they have a 5-star weak foot, you got to focus on that 5-star weak foot to take these strikes. Because look, this is what you do, because they're not using the defenders in these situations, right? And if they do, they kind of just become like stalemate players. So you get into this area here, right? You can see that what I'm trying to do is work the space from the guys that are already pushing up against the defenders, okay? So we have the ball here, Mario Rui. That's the open space. We have to do a first time pass right away because that's the space that's going to open up. We don't do anything right here right away, right? Technically, I could make this pass upwards, but Diogo Jota, right? Most of the times, these guys are not going to do like the craziest attacking AI in those positions, right? So I get here, I'm going to make the pass to Diogo Jota and then have nothing to work with, right? So in these areas, again, if you have a proper cam making those certain movements, right? you just got to do some small dribbles here and there. And you have to always be mindful of how these players open up, right? And the way that they're positioned to score your opportunities. We do some extra dribbles here, right? That guy overcommits with the CDM. This is a perfect situation here because now with Bernardo Silva, because I know he's left-footed, right? It's always good to have the player name over your player's head so that you're more consistent with the types of finishing that you can do. I know that if I pass this ball to Bernardo Silva, that guy's not being controlled. The first time touch is very important here because if I go to the top left, sure, maybe I can get an outside foot shot angle, but this guy's gonna block me, right? So I go for the first time touch, he switches to the person late, right? And that's what allows that opportunity to happen, right? It's that first touch to the strong foot, first time strike that works out. It's a very huge ISO play when it comes to FIFA. It's the first time drag touch, the first time touch to work that space that allows you to score those opportunities. Okay, so over here is another example of just some extra dribbles. Yeah, so this is a very good one as well. So I'm doing some extra dribbles here, right? I have the ball here, Bernardo Silva, and I'm waiting for my attacking AI to utilize empty space a certain way, right? I get a player like Phil Foden here that commits on the attack, which creates some space for me because I know Bernardo Silva wants. Always look at what these guys do, guys. I don't do L1 like passes. They do this themselves on explosive, okay? So look, pass the ball, immediately does the attacking AI stuff. So you have to be mindful of that when you're using these cards. I go backwards. He already creates a lot of space for me. I do a driven pass here, or a regular pass. I'm pretty sure it was a driven pass because it's usually really nice to be able to get that first time touch. I get the driven pass here, but guess what? I don't have an angle to work with. I could potentially go for a first time strike, but a strike after the driven pass is going to be inconsistent. So this is a way to actually get past the goalkeeper nowadays. What I do is I use my thumbstick to aim to the bottom left so I can create a 45-degree angle against the goalkeeper. And then it's like FIFA from 2 or 3 years ago. You create that heel to heel angle where it forces an animation out of the goalkeeper, right? And then you can score the opportunity. Okay, so this is the attack with Ronaldo. He's not playing here, so I just utilize the outside foot shot. Bernardo Silva is really good at doing those, by the ways. Always look out. Always the positioning. Always the positioning, constantly, right? It's the push forward, track back, push forward, track back. I get the ball here, Ronaldo Sanchez. Bernardo Silva starts making a run. Generally speaking, very pointless to make, right? But it's not, because he'll make that run. I'll make this pass back to Ronaldo Sanchez, and then the moment I make that pass, look at Bernardo Silva adjusting right away. Boom. Already well positioned, but I have to do the extra dribbles myself for the players to get back into position. He gets back into position. We go for a first time pass. He starts to control this guy. The moment they control that one center back, that's the type of space you want to utilize right away if your players have the right attacking AI. So I go for the extra dribbles. Bernardo Silva opens himself up. First time shot. Nice little goal. Okay, so CDM build up here. Ronaldo Sanchez, got to do the extra build-ups. The space hasn't opened up yet. You have to wait for your attacker to be ahead of the defender. If you're making passes like this, these are going to be forced. I do it sometimes because obviously in the moment you're thinking it works out a certain way. But yeah, you have to be very mindful of this. You can see that he's more to the bottom left side in this area. So it'll have a higher chance of working. But sometimes if you make this driven pass and your players are not like the most physical, it's easy to get the ball off them, right? In this case, you could see that the first time dribble that I do is away from the defender. I don't go towards him, right? I just face to the bottom left so I can utilize empty space in other areas, right? I make the pass here. Once I make the pass, right, we have to play the ball slowly. There's nothing to work with here, right? We go for a first time L1 fake shot, right? He commits downwards. I get the space here. I do a pass. I drag backwards. There's nothing to work with here too, right? I drag backwards to give them the thought that I'm gonna go for the extra pass meta. You guys get what I'm saying? And you'll notice me doing this on like 2 or 3 different occasions where I go back to make them think I'm gonna make that extra pass, right? And I don't do it. I go for the drag touch or the drag back where I go backwards and then I create space for myself to score the opportunity, right? So sometimes with certain skill moves, you do have to create that space for yourself. Full back to Mario Rui here. Again, it's the push forward, track back, push forward, track back. Look at Bernardo Silva constantly. to what you're always looking out for. So fullback is attacking, right? So fullback attacking gives me that extra space to work with. I'm doing some ball roll, extra touches. Could I technically go for a driven pass right here to Bernardo Silva? Absolutely, right? But I've always noticed that when I build up the play with the midfielders and I make obvious passes, that's when I have more attacking opportunities afterwards, right? So we get into the situation here. Bernardo Silva is already doing that quick track back. Renato Sanchez makes the pass to him. He controls that center back. We make the pass downwards, go for the sweat. He almost blocks it, but it was a deserved goal for the most part, right? For the extra sweat there. Ball roll driven. Yeah. So again, situation like this, we get the ball running. Ball roll driven for consistency. If I go for a driven right away, it can work, yes, but there's less consistency behind it. This is a FIFA mechanic, okay? That you have to use to have a little bit more consistency behind your passes. Over here, this is completely luck-based because this is exactly what I intend. I don't know if EA is going to do it though, okay? We go for a first time through ball. It's really well weighted. Guess what? We get into this position here. You can technically go for an outside foot shot here. You can, okay? But it's not always going to be consistent because you are a medium distance away from the goalkeeper. But guess what? We get into a situation like this. I have to work a left stick touch while the goalie is animating himself against me, right? So we just time the left stick touch. You can see that I'm chill, right? I'm chill for a little bit, right? Nothing on the left stick yet. I don't touch it. I'm not aiming the left stick to the left side still. I let go of it once I take that touch to see what my options are in the moment, right? And then obviously I have none. So I just left stick touch quickly downwards and we score that opportunity. Once you get that initial drag touch, it's good to let go to kind of see, you know, what's happening around you, right? Should I make the extra sweat pass? Do I have like the time to do a left stick dribble? Left stick dribble is not always a super consistent thing, but obviously very helpful when given the opportunity. This one's pointless because it looked like this guy was giving me a goal, to be honest, right from the beginning of the game. So nothing crazy there. Yeah, so this is like, if you're facing like the park the bus, right? This is a very good moment to show you guys how you kind of want to break down these guys as much as possible, right? So you can see that I'm using the CDM. There's no passing options, right? There's none. I could technically make these passes over here to the bottom side, but you have to remember what you're able to do after you make that pass is what matters, right? So with a card like Pelinha, I create the space with the left stick, right? Create the space with the left stick. This guy's overcommitting. Now I have space to work with. I have this huge circle here to work with, right? Bernardo Silva, first time pass to Ben Yedder. We do a pass to Phil Foden, a nice little croqueta, go backwards. Again, ISO play FIFA, okay? When people are parking the bus, you got to do these things for you to be able to score. It's that first time touch, first time strike. That's why Ben Yedder is sick, because I can do this first time touch with him on his strong foot or his weak foot, and he'll still do a great job because he has that 5-star weak foot, right? So we create the space here. Again, immediately explosive from the space. Touch, shoot, right? If that's Bernardo Silva on his right foot, it might not be as consistent. This is another very good opportunity here to kind of show. So on the counter attack, you'll notice that I don't go for a first time pass upwards. I want to make the pass downwards first to the striker and then to the top, right? Because if you make the pass first time to the top, it's not always going to be consistent. Not all the time. Like, you could have done it for sure, but it's not always consistent. You just try to work consistency as much as possible. Over here, we utilize the L1. So we aim the left stick towards the runner, and we use the L1 tap, right stick to the bottom right, for him to make that run. I don't do that all the time to make sure I make that pass, right? I do that so that they go and occupy that guy, because now there's two defenders there. But guess what? My Renato Sanchez is still going to attack. So I'm pushing two defenders downwards. My Bernardo Silva is creating space for me as well. And now I have space to work with in the middle. He has to commit upwards here from the overcommitment with Bernardo Silva, but that created space for me with Phil Foden up top. We get into a situation there. We're calm here. Just a nice little left stick, outside foot shot, score that opportunity. So this is a very good example of the pressure tactic. You have to kind of get lucky here. Like, if your goalies have good distribution, it's very helpful, right? Because obviously there's a couple of guys here in the middle that you could have potentially made the pass to. I'm going to tell you this right now. Don't trust powering your kick away from goal to be in this middle area, because if they get the ball back, they have too much attack. It's not worth the risk, okay? So for me, I go for the full commit because my midfielders are still well positioned. I don't have a lengthy player up top. If it's Ronaldo, it would be helpful to work with, but my midfielders are still really well positioned. So L1, right stick flick again to the bottom right. This time it makes sense for me to make that pass because he has nobody around him, right? We go backwards, first time pass. We work some space a little bit. We get a little bit unfortunate here. This is where the pressure tactic starts to get a little bit crazy, right? But we have to make first time passes, right? Mario Rui opens up. That's still him on the balance instruction. ISO play FIFA. We go for the run, driven pass to the striker position to score. Don't overcommit. People make a big mistake here in these areas where they overcommit, right? So they'll see the space and they're like, oh my goodness, I can run. You can't do that in this game, okay? You have to be mindful of the dribbles that you're doing and to be mindful of the players making those attacking AI runs. Once we get into this area here, you can actually see that I could technically have gone for the through ball pass here, but guess what? The pace doesn't work that way this year unless you're a lengthy player, so I don't even go for that, right? I go for the obvious choice here, which is the fullback. I keep running, ball roll, fake him out a little bit. A first time bounce pass, the goalie doesn't react to it, we score that opportunity. Yeah, over here I'm just waiting for attacking AI to open up. And this is the moments where you have to do some extra dribbles to kind of open up the space, right? Pick him out a little bit. To go backwards, left stick downwards again because he thinks I'm going to commit that space. That drag back, go back with the first time drag back, right? Because look at the situation here, right? Once I get here with Bernardo Silva, when people see that you have this space, they think you're going to overcommit it. It happens all the time, right? So that's why I go backwards. And now I have more space to work with here. I can have this pass. I can go for a first time strike afterwards, potentially, right? It's always in the moment stuff. I make the pass here. There's no option to work with, right? I could go for a drag backwards, maybe make a pass upwards, but there's no actual real attacking play to work with here, right? Even when I drag backwards, I still have to wait for certain things to open up. So, like I said before, you do the first time drag opposite direction, right? Because they think you're going to go for the extra pass meta, right? You do a drag back to go back on the strong foot. It's very important to know that the person is going to be on their strong foot for a higher consistency strike. This is him giving me space here. So this guy was parking the bus a lot this game. So that's why I mentioned that having this outside foot shot is helpful when you play against these guys, because when you're noticing that like every player isn't really doing like crazy attacking AI stuff, this is where you utilize this mechanic. It's important to have against these kids. It is at the end of the day, right? So you can see that he gives me all this space to work with. Strong foot on the strong side with the left attacking mid, right attacking mid. Phil Foden being the left-footed player, goes for the outside foot shot. We score that opportunity, right? This is the clip where I actually say if you take that out against the Park the Bus kids, we're going to be in trouble. What I actually end up doing here a lot in the side positions is that I utilize L1 and R1 a lot, right? So L1 flick downwards, L1 flick upwards. I'm trying to see how he commits to my attackers while opening up space for other attackers, right? So I do that constantly with Diogo Jota. You can see that I'm going downwards, he's marking that area. So it doesn't make sense for me to do that. I do that with the L1 to go upwards, and that creates more space for me, right? First time, Berba spin into the space, right? Again, with explosive players, they will utilize that empty attacking AI space really well. So Diogo Jota does that for me. Over here, we get super fortunate because I'm going for a driven pass, because driven pass in this area, again, ISO play goal. But when you work the space here, the defender, even though the cursor is on top of his head, it doesn't always work out that great. And you guys can see here what happens. His player does a stupid animation. We score that opportunity, right? Yeah, this is like just a working space like crazy. Like, it's just the explosive part of cards it's so helpful to work with. Because look, over here, we're using L1, R1 left stick, right? You can see I use L1, R1 left stick to kind of just go into the empty space here with Bernardo Silva. Phil Foden starts to occupy Bernardo Silva's spot. Once this happens, he's going to do a crazy attacking AI run, because look at what you can do afterwards, right? You go backwards, you make the pass to Ronaldo, and now he goes back into his position on the left side, but Bernardo Silva afterwards, right, will start to occupy his position. So that constant movement between your attackers is super helpful to work with. So you can see here with Phil Foden in these positions, once you make that touch, first time backwards, driven pass, right? Technically, I could take the touch, go for a near post strike. I don't know how the defender's going to react to me, right? So I go for the extra pass. He controls that player on the defense, and we score that opportunity. This is where the game started to get choppy. It was in these games right here. And you could tell because of what I'm doing here with Phil Foden. This is all wrong. This is me compensating for the game's like commands being weird, right? You see how he's taking like weird touches? Look at this. You know what I'm saying? But you work with that. You work with that. Ronaldo Sanchez did the same thing there. That's where it started to get a little bit weird. This is a kickoff, so kickoffs are crazy, right? But explosive again. First time pass. We make the pass right away. He already makes the run. He's explosive. The defensive AI is the defenders that he's using is overcoming the space. We go for a first time lob pass. He commits too much further down, which allows us the space to work with to the right side of the player, right? You don't know that's going to happen all the time in the moment. You kind of just hope that his momentum carries him when you make that strike, you know? So main focus here, right? Bernardo Silva again. Once I do this pass, my mind is already looking at what Bernardo Silva is doing. So my thing is to make this pass to him, right? So the best way for me to do that is to take a first time drag touch downwards, ball roll, because a ball roll is better than using the left stick to get into that area, and I can utilize that space that Bernardo Silva goes into, right? Yeah, so this is a good example of like utilizing the L trigger shield here. So we get here. This is when your gameplay feels weird. Like I said, you've seen 3 different occasions. This is your gameplay being quote unquote bad, right? Look at Bernardo Silva. I don't expect him to do this, but you use the L trigger to avoid losing the ball here, right? Because technically what I could have done here is I could have made the pass to these 2 attackers afterwards. I don't expect this to happen. But when you use the L trigger shield, right, it's compensating for the bad stuff that is happening. So in our case, we go back here with Ronaldo Sanchez. Not a terrible choice to build up your play with your CDMs. Again, you'll see that I don't overcommit passes yet. I want to make sure I have an obvious open space. So I go back to Ronaldo Sanchez. Bernardo Silva is really well positioned. Go for first time driven. Really nice to have a 4-star weak foot on that left center defensive position to be able to utilize a pass like this. We again go for the L trigger shield to compensate for the gameplay being weird, to try to work an extra pass or something to be able to open up the space. Over here, you can see that I don't pass the ball, right? Because I'm using the L trigger shield to compensate for the weird gameplay. I don't pass the ball here, right? He's the one that defends against it, right? And it goes towards my attacker. In this situation here, once he commits a little bit to my right side, I use the right stick flick backwards twice to get it onto his strong foot, and then we're able to work that space and score. So very unfortunate on his part when it came to the defender giving me the ball, right? But gameplay is rough. You have to always compensate for what is happening to you in the game. Not everything you want to do is what the game's actually gonna be able to do. It's just how FIFA works, right? I never take corner kicks, man, honestly. Pass the ball off. Bernardo Silva starts to get into a good position. I'm like, you know what? Finesse shot with him. He's actually pretty decent at hitting them. My time finishing was off because I actually go for time finishing here, but the settings reset, I didn't pay much mind to it when I was playing. This is where it's so nice to have that CDM that commits on the attack. It's these moments here, right? Because Ronaldo Sanchez is absolutely incredible. His rare gold is incredible. This OTW is a first owned player. I was so happy to get him on the RTG. So this is the quick passing play, right? Quick passing play between the explosive players. Boom, boom, right? I could technically do a dribble here with Ben Yedder and maybe go for a through ball because Bernardo Silva makes those crazy runs. But look at what we end up doing here, right? Because the attacking AI is so much better this year than it was last year. He doesn't overcommit like crazy because once I make this pass to Ronaldo Sanchez, I just do a first time driven. And guess what? Look at how this works, okay? When you're doing these types of passing plays, what people don't understand is that you're actually screwing with the goalkeeper, right? So look at the animation after the goalkeeper when you're doing this type of quick passing play. Drag touch, first time right-footed strike. He's not well positioned after that, right? Because of that quick passing play that you're doing. If you wait a little bit too long, he'll position himself properly again to save the opportunity. So over here, right? People always think you're going to make this pass, right? I commit with the fullback. He thinks I'll make a first time pass here. To be honest with you, I totally could have, but you know why I don't? Because I know that he's going to overcommit that space because he thinks it's the obvious one, right? Which it is. So he'll overcommit that space to block out that opportunity. We're going to go back here, work with the CDM, and look at how much space opens up for us in the middle. Look at how much space from not overcommitting that pass in that area, right? It's all about patterns of play with certain formations. First time driven pass, first time pass. We get the drag touch with his left foot, and we score the opportunity. Palinha being an absolute rock in the defensive positions. Ball roll pass, see, for more consistency. First time driven, L1 fake shot, work that near post angle, strong foot on the strong side. We're able to score that opportunity. See? All about that first time drag, right? In Ben Yedder's case, whether I go upwards or downwards, it doesn't matter, right? It just depends on where I'm gonna predict how the defender's gonna commit against me, you know? You see how he slide tackles there? Because he thinks I'm gonna overcommit that pass in the middle, right? He sees this being done, boom. He sees the run being done. He sees this empty space. That's where he thinks I'm gonna make that pass. So he slide tackles. But look at the obvious pass I have up top here, right? Make this pass, ball roll. I don't have much options to work with. I go for a right stick flick backwards cancel, right? To make him think I'm gonna go back. But the reason why I make him think I'm gonna go back is because I wanna create more space over here through the middle, or to go back into the fullback position and then to rebuild with my CDM, right? So right stick flick backwards twice, cancel, right? He overcommits the slide tackle again because yet again, he thinks I'm gonna overcommit this pass in the middle, which is what people do. So he overcommits, we go back into the fullback position. Now we have space to work with in or outside the 18-yard box, right? With Ben Yedder, small little left stick dribbles, we create space again. Ben Yedder's going to be explosive. He'll go into the space right away. We do a couple of extra dribbles. Now I have two different passes I can work with here, right? We go for the pass, another pass here. Ronaldo Sanchez on the balance instruction, extra pass meta. He scores the opportunity. Extra pass meta is going to be always a huge thing in FIFA because park the bus is absolutely insane. Like you literally can't score other ways. Over here, we do a driven pass. And this one we go for a chip just for the cheek, honestly, because in this situation, you should just shoot with your 5-star weak foot. Driven pass, move in. We have the space to work with. We score. Always the first time drag touches, right? The first time drag touch is what opens up the space. Ronaldo Sanchez, right? Watch this. He thinks I'm going to go upwards because look at how much empty space is up here. Look at that empty space. So that's where they're going to commit because that's where they think you're going to go. We go downwards though, right? That's why he makes that tackle because he thinks I'm going to commit into the obvious empty space, right? We make the less obvious one. I make this pass to Diogo Jota. He controls the center back, pushes out a little bit. What I could have done in the situation here, again, you have to compensate for in the moment stuff, gameplay being weird, right? You don't know what your first time touch is going to be like, all that kind of stuff, right? But what could I have done right here? Once I made this little touch right here, I could have made a through ball pass to Ben Yedder. But in the moment, we don't do that, right? Because with the defender, I see him being used. I'm like, this is a little bit too late for me now, right? Because I didn't think this was going to happen in the moment. So we lose this opportunity, but guess what? You always look for the track backs, right? He overcommits into that space. We do the extra dribble here. Now we're back in position again, right? First time drag, we work the space on the strong foot. Every time, man. We get very lucky here because this is meta. This is me trying to do meta stuff. I should have... Over here, you can't do a drag back. It's not going to work, right? Because if you do it here, it's still too obvious for him to get the ball. It's so obvious for him to get the ball here. So obvious, right? We go for a driven pass. Shouldn't have overcommitted. The defender's still there, right? Doesn't make sense for me to do that. But guess what? Once I take this touch, that's where he still thinks I'm going to do the extra pass meta, right? And then I do the drag. Because that's the area that he's going to block, is the empty space. But again, you get lucky in that situation. I still play Fifa to score, right? I think this one might be an outside foot shot too. Is it? No, extra dribbles on this one. Ronaldo Sanchez is a great player to have, man. Great player. Extra pass meta again, right? You'll notice with my controller, I do a lot of L1 taps, right? L1 taps, what you do with L1 taps, guys, when you're dribbling, is that it stops the ball in place but faces the direction of the net. And what this allows you to do is that when you do the L1 tap, you can do a quick left stick touch afterwards, right? To be able to open up the space. So you'll notice it on multiple occasions when I'm attacking, right? We get the ball here, Bernardo Silva, first time fake shot, faces the direction of the net. Roquette to open up the space. And you notice it here, right? Ronaldo Sanchez, ball roll, pass, right here, see? Right here, look. You see the L1 tap? The L1 tap is what creates consistency here. Because if I'm making a pass off of a drag, there's less consistency. L1, pass, we create the space. Diogo Jota's only position like that because he's a proper player to have in the side positions for the cam spot, right? Because of the high work rates and stuff, with the direct passing being played into effect. Driven pass, probably another driven pass here. We get lucky here with the ball coming back to us. We do a shot cancel in that situation. Okay, so driven pass is fine there. 90-degree angle, you could do a driven pass, right? So that's why when people do the ball roll driven, it's because they're trying to work the 90-degree angle for consistency, right? 90-degree angle, driven pass works out. We make the pass downwards. The reason why I don't commit downwards yet again is because that's where he thinks my play is going to consistently keep going, right? So in this situation here, I do a bad drag touch. I shouldn't be going into the defender, but again, in the moment stuff, right? Because I think that maybe he commits upwards, so I can commit downwards, and I work the space with my left foot, right? Doesn't work out. He makes a challenge. We get back the ball, right? Couple of quick left stick dribbles. You can see me pressing the L1 to be able to do that kind of stuff, right? I commit this pass here with Ben Yedder on an L1 so that the defender chases after that player, right? Blocks, you know, if he's blocking that general area with that player, I have to deal with the one person here. So a shot cancel will still force an animation out of the defenders, but there's more of an emphasis behind it, right? So you can't do it like you could last year where it's like really quick every single time, right? So we do a touch here, shot cancel. His player is the one that's going to overcommit that slide cancel there, right? Or that slide in general. We get very fortunate here because obviously with Bernardo Silva not having a crazy weak foot, he could potentially not score, but this is a more higher percentage strike, right? Because he's a smaller player, he's still able to score a nice right-footed strike. Get the ball here, Mario Rui can position ourselves for the counterattack here, right? I don't overcommit though. Don't overcommit like crazy. I wait for the pass to happen. This is us having the left back on balance, right? He'll commit on the attack if he's good on the attack. Mario Rui is a type of card that can dribble and can commit on the attack. Are there other options that are better to work with? Yes, absolutely. But obviously with Portuguese players, I need to have players that are meta enough, right? So the fullback overcommits. And what that does is that creates a lot of space for us through the middle, right? So when you create the space here in the middle, that's where he thinks you're going to go, right? So you do the first time fake shot, small left stick touch, wait for the runner, do a through ball, right? We take the touch, he thinks I'm going to go back, right? Every time. You press R trigger to accelerate into the space. Now you have space to work with inside the 18-yard box. We take a first time pass here. Not a great choice, but sometimes your players do like crazy shot animations to score those opportunities, but it doesn't work out for us, right? Over here, we have to hold on to the ball a little bit of some pressure tactics. Right here, we're waiting for attacking AI to open up because he's pushing these two defenders down, which is going to create space in other areas of the pitch, right? Ronaldo Sanchez on the balance instruction is going to push forward. His defender over here is being stupid. What we do here, ball roll driven, right? Or ball roll touch in our case here for consistency, because if we go for a ball roll driven right away, if he switches to him, he'll actually block out the opportunity. And then once you get the ball here, Bernardo Silva, you don't have to go for the extra pass anymore because he's on his left foot. I can go for a first time strike to the near post. And that's not the last highlight. This is the last highlight, and then the guy quits. Left attacking mid, right attacking mid. If the players overcommit, they make those runs in the middle, which is super helpful. Here I make a poor decision. I should make the extra pass here, but obviously taking a strike is not horrible either, and we end up scoring a deflection there. That's pretty much it, guys. So yeah, if you guys are ever interested in watching these types of videos in the future, you know, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below, like the video, all that good stuff if you guys enjoyed it. It's always going to be different with different types of formations. The ISO plays are always going to be very similar because of park the bus being a huge thing in this game, right? Because people park the bus all the time, you need to be able to create certain spaces with small left stick touches, and you need to understand how the other players in the, of your team move on the pitch for you to create more space for yourself, right? So at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. We all move in the very moment of it happening. Okay, that's how we base all of our attacking plays in FIFA. So you're not always going to be perfect, and you always have to take into consideration that we are compensating for gameplay being rough most of the times, right? So you don't know where your player is going to dribble, you don't know how the pass is going to come off, right? But these are some things that you can do if you're playing in a 4-2-3-1 formation to be able to attack. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.